In this week's Surf Spot of the Week and Wave of the Week, we're tackling Waimea Bay. Welcome to the Wipeout Weekly, the daily podcast for beginners, wannabe surfers, and seasoned wipeout enthusiasts. No hype, no filler, just the highs, lows, and honest truth about learning to surf and finding your place in surf culture. I'm your host, Suze Wilson. Let's go out. Waimea Bay on Oahu's North Shore is one of the most iconic big wave surf spots in the world. It sits between Haleiwa and Sunset Beach. It's the birthplace of big wave surfing as we know it and the spiritual home of the Eddie Aikau's Invitational. You may remember this. This competition only runs when Waimea hits a minimum of 20-foot Hawaiian, so that's 40-foot faces. So really, it only happens maybe once every 5 to 10 years. Wai means water, Mea means reddish, stained, or something of importance, like a feature. So Waimea roughly means reddish water, or reddish-colored river, stream, or something of importance. The first and only time I saw a Waimea, it was flat. Of course it was. It was in the middle of the summer. But even during winter months, Waimea doesn't break that often. And even less often does it become real, meaning it hits at least 18 feet. It's a tricky one, because once it gets to 30 feet or bigger, it becomes unrideable due to the closeout across the channel. And when it's under 10 feet, locals call it Waimea shore break, and it's still dangerous. Wipeouts are another story. Apparently, when you're underwater, Waimea is black in comparison to Pipeline being white and Sunset being gray. Here's how Matt Warshaw describes Waimea in the Encyclopedia of Surfing. Waimea hits peak only a handful of times during an average season. The character of the wave changes slightly with the direction of the incoming surf. North swells create an easier takeoff and longer wave. West swells are steeper and shorter. The ride is for the most part straightforward. A huge drop, often made at an angle, followed by a bottom turn and a beeline race for the adjacent deep water channel. Tube riding is sometimes possible. Although Waimea has long been dismissed by some as just a drop, big wave bulldog Buzzy Trent once described the break as a mirage. Now you see it, now you don't. This near vertical plunge from crest to trough is in fact one of the sport's greatest challenges. Testing the surfer's equipment, wave judgment, fitness, and nerve. The drop will often jack, steepen, and expand without warning as the wave curls over. A phenomenon that can actually reverse the surfer's forward motion and send him back up toward the crest, and then to an annihilating wipeout. Also, according to Matt, some historians believe that Waimea was once surfed by ancient Hawaiians, but no one really has any solid evidence. In the modern surfing world, Waimea crops up in 1943, when Woody Brown and Dickie Cross found themselves forced to paddle from Sunset Beach to Waimea, and Dickie drowned. When you hear and see the story in Riding Giants, you understand why it kept surfers away until 1957, when Greg Noll and a small group of surfers descended on Waimea on a 15-foot day. It got filmed, so of course it broke whatever the predecessor to the internet was. Oh right, surf mags. It stayed popular in the 60s, less so in the 70s and the 80s, until Mavericks was discovered in the 90s. Mavericks broke more often, and Jaws came onto the scene with its toe-in surfing. Waimea had a comeback when big wave paddle surfing, instead of toe-in, became a thing again in the early 2000s. Anywho, that sounds very much like a Back to the Future situation. And that's all for today. Check out the Wipeout Weekly for our free newsletter, more stories and ways to connect with us. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow for more of the Waimea Weekly.